Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be here. I've had one little verse on my mind all day, and I really don't know if I should even begin to even speak on it, but the Lord's over all things, and if He's over it, then the message will be right. I was looking at John chapter 11. I remembered where the statement was. Lazarus had got sick, and Jesus and the disciples were in another place, and Jesus had got word that Lazarus was very sick to the point of dying. And Jesus decided to not go to the need of Lazarus right then. And the reason that Jesus did not go to Lazarus right then is because I think Jesus had something to prove to the people. Jesus always has an ulterior motive for what He does. Always. There is nothing that is just by chance. Jesus knew that Lazarus was going to die. And Jesus knew that He was going to come to Mary and Martha 4 days later. Matter of fact, I think the Bible even said in one place where He got the word, but He stayed an additional period of time to get there. When He got there, it was all planned out. When He gets to Mary and Martha, they're all weeping and crying because their brother had died, and Jesus had been saying to them that, look, he's just sleeping. But the disciples was also told that he sleeps. Well, I guess maybe they thought that he was just sleeping far as him being actually asleep in the bed. But Jesus let it be known that, look, Lazarus is dead. But when I go to where Lazarus is, I'm going to wake him up. I'm going to get him up. So He goes to Mary and Martha, and Mary is beside herself, and Martha is beside herself, and basically Martha is saying, we believe in the resurrection. I mean, she even said it in John chapter 11 that, we believe in the resurrection, but she also said, but Lord, he stinks by now. Because he had been in the grave for 4 days. They had already wound his body up and anointed his body and prepared his body, and he had already been in the grave for 4 days. And they knew enough about a body that if it had been dead for 4 days, that body is what we call ripe. That body had already begun to start breaking down. See, our body one day is going to break down. Now, the ones that are alive and well, and the ones that are breathing, and the ones that are living today, they're going to live, but the time will come that the body is going to break down. And John chapter 11 tells us the whole story about when Jesus faced up to Mary and Martha and how they was weeping and crying. And then Jesus says, where have you laid him? Well, don't you think that Jesus knew where Lazarus was? I think that Jesus knew exactly where he was. But what he was doing, he was involving the people that was around, the people that was comforting Mary and Martha, the people that was there that was being their comfort. because they had just lost their brother. Now, some people might go and say that, that Jesus doesn't get emotional. Oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does. The shortest verse in the Bible tells us right here where I got my eyes on, John 11 and verse 35, that Jesus wept. Now, why did he weep? He wept because Mary was weeping, and he wept because Martha was weeping. And if you look up there in verse number 33, when Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, it wasn't just Mary and Martha, which came with her. See, there was people that was with her. He groaned in his spirit. We groan in our spirit sometimes when we see bad things happen. There's people that they ask for prayer when something affects their immediate family. It's just common logic that we want the Lord to come in and do for us. But what have we done for him? Take a man and a woman that is married, but yet the woman is running around on the husband, or vice versa. The man's running around on the wife. Do you think that union is going to be able to be put back together immediately without some remorse or some feeling that, a person that is not calling on the Lord today, but all of a sudden now we have to drop everything that we're doing to call on the Lord, but we didn't call on him yesterday. Sad to say, we live like hell during the week, and we want God to come to our rescue the next day. And you know what? That's habit for people to play on God and play on God's emotion, because Jesus said here in verse 35, Jesus wept. He wept not for Lazarus. Now, did he miss Lazarus because Lazarus was in the grave? I think he missed him, but I don't think he was weeping for the man that was dead, because the Lord was going to raise him up. He was weeping for the ones that were upset, and the ones that were crying, and the ones that was showing emotion. And these Jews was showing emotion, and basically they was the ones that was going to follow Jesus to this place of where they buried Lazarus. And then in verse 36, then said the Jews, behold, how he loved him. See, they saw Jesus weep. They already knew who Jesus was. They had a pretty good idea that Jesus was who he was. But they also saw Jesus weep. And that verse right here says, behold, how he loved Lazarus. That's what it says in that verse. And some of them said, could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should have not have died? See, they started looking at, Jesus was really Jesus. He could have got here and he could have healed the man, because they already had seen him heal other people. It wasn't impossible for Jesus to heal, but they're basically sizing up the situation. But see, Jesus had an ulterior motive. That motive was to get to the innocency of all the people that were there. These people followed Jesus and Mary and Martha to that tomb of where Lazarus was. And it says, which opened the eyes of the blind. See, they remembered the things that Jesus had done before. Jesus, therefore, again, groaning in himself, cometh to the grave. See, he had already asked, where have you laid him? So they're all walking to the grave. Some of them are skeptics. Some of them are like, oh, I wonder if he's really going to raise him now. He's already stinking. What's he going to do now? I mean, a lot of people thought there ain't no way he's going to raise this man named Lazarus. And it says here, when Jesus therefore again groaning in himself cometh to the grave, it was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. It was a cave that had a stone, just like the stone that was in front of Jesus' grave. But see, Jesus used the people here. You notice that Jesus is no longer crying now, because now he's going to get the people's attention. He involves the people. You notice in this next verse, Jesus didn't roll away the stone. He asked the people to roll away the stone. It says in verse 39, Jesus said, take ye away the stone. And here's when old Martha chimes in. You gotta bless Martha's heart for at least just being human. I mean, really, all she is just showing her human nature. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead 4 days. Lord, don't you know that he's already stinking? It didn't upset Jesus. Listen to what Jesus said. Said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe? See, up there in them other verses, Jesus was telling Martha that all you got to do is believe in the resurrection. And I think even old Martha said, yeah, I do believe in the resurrection, Lord, on that day when you come. But she didn't believe that Jesus was the resurrection that day. Listen to what he says, what Jesus said. Said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God? Didn't I tell you that you would see? So basically, he's actually saying now, then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. You know why a lot of times I think that the Lord don't act on some of our prayers is because we're basically using him as a pawn. And anytime we use the Lord as a pawn, the Lord don't have to act. We want to eat, drink, and be merry and go run the roads and go drink ourselves to death and party ourselves to death. And then when tragedy happens, then we want, Lord, you got to come on the scene. We need you. We got to have you. But what did he say right here? In verse 42, and I know that thou hearest me always. Now this is Jesus talking to God now. But because of the people which stand by, I said it. You see what I'm getting at? Because of the people needed to see this dead man raised. It wasn't really to prove anything to Jesus, because Jesus knew what he was going to do. What Jesus was doing was proving God the Father to the ones that was sort of skeptics that didn't know what to believe. It says here, which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. See, Jesus came to do his Father's will and to be sent to do the miracles that needed to be done. And this was part of the miracle that was done to help the others that was unbelievers. In verse 43, and when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice. Let me ask you a question. Did he need to cry with a loud voice? No, he could have just said, Lazarus, get up. Get up now. You know why he cried with a loud voice? He wanted all them people around to hear Jesus' loud voice, because Jesus commands attention from the people. And you know why that there's so many people today that are in such bad shape spiritually? Is because they're tuned into everything else and not under to the loud voice of the Son of God. Now, does Jesus always have to talk in a loud voice? No. The Bible says in one place he can speak in a still small voice. But here's what you got to do when he speaks in a still small voice. You got to be listening. You can't be running your chops. You can't be out on the dance floor. You can't be doing your own thing. See, Jesus said here with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. He said his name, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes. See, he had wrappings around him. He couldn't walk. I believe that he literally hopped to the door because that was the only way that he could get out to the edge of where the people could see who he was. And his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus saith unto them, loose him and let him go. Let him go. He's alive now. Can you imagine what Martha must have thought? Can you imagine what Mary must have thought? Lazarus was alive again. Do you think maybe he was looking down, looking at his putrefied self? No. Lazarus was more alive then than he ever has been. But I got some news for you today. Maybe this is the reason why I'm doing this message tonight. Lazarus died again. It doesn't say when he died, but he died again. Because we don't see Lazarus walking the earth now. See, he was raised by Jesus to prove Jesus and Jesus' power to all them Jews that followed him to that gravesite. I guarantee you, if I was to go to somebody's grave and I was to call somebody out of the grave, I better have the power that Jesus had to do it, or people's going to laugh at me. But you know what? This message could actually raise people that are dead. I'm talking about dead spiritually. Are you dead spiritually? Could the Lord be wanting to raise you from this message today? See, he raised Lazarus. He told him to take the grave clothes off of him, loose him, untie him, and let him go free. And the Bible says that they loosed him and they let him go. And then it says in verse 45, then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did believed on him. But now you got another verse that's after that. And here's where I think we are today, and a lot of us today. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done. You know why they went away? Because they really had a hard time believing that Jesus could do it. But he did. He did. He raised up Lazarus. But this man, Jesus, wept. He wept. He wept for Lazarus. He showed emotion for Lazarus. Could Jesus be weeping today, knowing that he is so near to his return to the earth? Don't you think that maybe he wants to raise people that are dead spiritually? Yeah, we'll pray when all else fails. When somebody requests prayers, we all jump on the bandwagon. I'll be honest with you, people. When I get somebody to ask for prayer, I pray right then. I type it out. I give something to people to hopefully give hope. That doesn't mean that the Lord always will answer in the affirmative. The Lord always does his will. He is a God of mercy and grace. And today I hope that you know him. Don't wait till tragedy happens to ask for prayer. Don't wait for storms of this life to come and ask for prayer. The Lord's willing to help. Elderly Ministry is the website here. If you would like to call, you can. There's a tab under menu that you go down and find the contact, and there's a phone number there waiting on you. Leave a message when you call. You can also go direct to YouTube. You can go to YouTube and go to the About Us page, and you can see the phone number there at the bottom of each video, and you're welcome to call. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you. Leave me your name and phone number, and I'll get back to you. Don't let the Lord call you out of death after tonight. The Lord knows if you know him or not. I hope you do. I really do. I really hope that you can say that the Lord has come to your rescue and raised you up out of death. He's still in the raising of the dead business today. And he does it every day to the people that don't know him. He will raise you up out of that death cave, and he will call your name, and he will give you life so that when the Lord does come back, you're ready to go and be with him. I hope this inspires you a little bit. Thank y'all for watching.